Today we're going to change some threaded stud brake pads on linear pull caliper brakes. So the first thing to do is to wind back the brake adjusters, which have been wound out fully as the brakes have worn down. So we need to wind that back in to a starting position. And we don't wind it all the way back, we leave it a little bit off from fully shut down to give us some maneuver. And let's go ahead, unhook brakes from the cables, and let's remove the old brake pads. They're very worn, they were starting to scratch the rims of the wheels. Take off all the washers and nuts. And let's have a closer look. They're very worn, you can even see some metal showing through on the pads. So these definitely need replacing, they haven't been changed for 10 years. There's a close-up of the brakes, how bad they are. They really needed replacing. So here are the new ones, fresh rubber, and we put on a thick concave spacer and a convex washer on the inner side. And now we put on a concave washer and a convex washer. These allow you to move tilt the brake pads up and down on the post to get them nice and parallel to the bike rim. So let's screw them in generally, and now we try to line them up. Avoid them hitting the rubber of the tyre, they must hit the metal rim. And we can carefully place them in the right location. Let's test how they hit the rim. And they hit nice and parallel. So that's good. And you can see that they are still quite parallel. And one thing to do is to make sure the front of the brake pad is a little hits the rim before the rear, and this will help to stop any squealing from the new brakes. Let's just tighten it up in place. Give it a little test. Now we can try and reconnect the cable. And as you can see, because it is there's lots of new rubber on the pads, we've done both sides, it doesn't fit. So we have to undo the cable so we can move it freely. Now we can hook the U-bend back into the carrier. Replace the little rubber dust seal. And now pull the brakes tight. Doesn't matter if they're touching the rims at this point, because we can adjust them at the brake levers. So let's just put them in tight. Tighten up the screw with the Allen key. Tidy up the end of the cable. Now let's look at the lever. There's hardly any movement right now because the pads are basically touching the wheel. So because we left a little bit of adjustment in the adjuster, we can now screw it in, and that will release the pads off the wheel a little bit, And there you go, we've got some nice movement on the lever now. So the final thing to do is to centre the brakes. And we do this. You can see that the one on the right is moving more than the one on the left. That means there's more tension on the one on the right. So we unscrew it a little bit to release the tension. And that allows the opposite side to move a little more freely. And you can see that they're both moving a little bit. Let's just screw that one in a bit more. That's looking not too bad. So we've got a little bit of movement on both sides, and that's what you want. And as long as your wheel is true and unbuckled, there shouldn't be any catching. So let's say that that's almost done, a little more fiddling. And I think that's just about perfect. So if you found this useful, why not consider liking and subscribing?